What is going on? Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Off the Schneid. We're drafting tonight. No Poodles. Poodle wrapped up a little earlier than I kind of hoped. I wished that it would, finish up tonight, a little later tonight, so I could, finish up my Poodle max entry with fast drafts, but I got to get into 5 slows. So it is what it is. I got those rolling now. I don't love slow drafts, but I'd rather max enter the tournament than not. So there you go. We're maxed in the Poodle. A little bit of, OTAs, not OTAs, mandatory minicamp started. I think today, 22 teams, or maybe it was yesterday, but most teams are in minicamp now. So we should start to see some more clarity, some more news come out, and we have seen some Coach Speak stuff. I always shout out the Coach Speak index on the Twitter machine. Go check those guys out. If you're not following them, then I don't know what you're doing. But they have some fantastic stuff. So some good follows there, some good nuggets. If you can sift through the tea leaves, things like that, and get a gauge for what teams are doing and who the, RB2 is, who's playing in the slot, whatever. There's all kinds of good information in there, for anyone to take advantage of. So definitely recommend that. But we're definitely going to have to be doing a Best Ball Mania tonight with the Poodle filling. So maybe I'll do a quick pick on one of my, I think I got a live Poodle right now. So 5 slows rocking with my 15 entries gives me my 20 max. So it's good to max enter the tournament. Already at 50 BBMs. Like I said, that's my main focus over this whole summer is going to be max entering the Best Ball Mania contest. I just think there's too much value for, if you're someone that considers yourself or believes that you're an above average drafter and you have somewhat of an edge, which I sure as shit hope I am. If I'm not, then this year's going to be a real smack in the face, real smack in the mouth, but we'll see how it works out. But I'll be max entering the Poodles, anyone that shows up, and I might max enter the puppy too, just because I think that's always kind of been the main event of the puppies typically. So I might I might max enter that once it gets released. We'll see. It can't be too far away. It sounds like there's another Chihuahua coming out, sounds like, from Hope Bishop on Twitter. Sounds like a 20 max $3 entry tournament's coming out, which sounds like a Chihuahua to me. So we'll see, but I'm waiting on the puppy too. And then just going to keep spinning Best Ball Manias until I hit my max 150. But speaking of which, I'm kind of, there we go. I'm kind of, more ahead of the game than I want to be with my Best Ball Mania draft. So we're still going to rip one tonight. It is what it is. But I would like to be I would like the contest to be at 33%, which are 22.3% filled. I'm at 33% of my total entries, right? So that's why I wish the tournament was where, I am essentially. I'd like for it to catch up. That's why I'd like for, maybe more Poodles, the puppy too, things like that to come out. I'm not doing super flex and I'm not doing those other ancillary contests. I'm just not doing them this year. So, it is what it is. So I'm only drafting season long. So that would be the puppy too, like I said, and then Best Ball Mania is my main focus. So I'd like for there to be more entries. I'd love for it to be 33% full. I definitely want to save some of my entries to August, July, August, even early September potentially, because there's edges to be had at that time with injuries and more camp news, training camp news, that is, and everything like that. So we'll see. We'll see how it shakes down, but we're going to jump into a Best Ball Mania right now and get this rolling. I got my Spike Week tool set up, waiting for 9 people. So if you're in the chat and you want to draft, jump in. Maybe we'll pop over to the Spike Week tool quickly and check my exposures on just Best Ball Mania. So there we go. So 51 Best Ball Mania teams. No, sorry, 50. That's one little qualm I have with the Spike Week tool is canceled tournaments, canceled drafts don't come off. And I sent a message, so that's the only thing. I haven't heard back. It's kind of frustrating, but it is what it is. It's not the end of the world. But I only have 50 entries, not 51. I had one draft canceled. So it kind of is what it is. It's not a big deal. But let's see where we need to catch up in the first and second round. So Mike Evans, 0%. I definitely got to correct that. The top three guys, it's a little difficult, but especially top two, McCaffrey and CeeDee, I'd like to catch up, but it's more difficult than just saying it. You know, you can't just, bring up a Puka, bring up a AJ Brown, something like that. You have to be first or second overall, maybe third on occasion to get CeeDee or CMC. So that kind of is what it is. You're going to get the exposure that you can get when you can get it. Justin Jefferson, I'd like to bump that up a little bit. Brandon Ayuk, I'd like to bump that up. I'm not drafting Marvin Harrison Jr. unless I can pair him with Puka, which I expect will kind of come about shortly. I think that we're going to see Marvin Harrison Jr.'s ADP fall back a little bit and allow that stack to kind of happen more easily and more naturally. So we'll see how that works out. And that's pretty much the only exposure I'll get to Marvin Harrison Jr. I just think he's going too high for a rookie. Nico, bringing that up. That's good. Waddle, I'd like to continue to bring that up. Kyron, as he falls, I'll start picking off some shares. I'd like to get more DK. So we'll see. The draft room filled. Let's jump back into that. So let's jump back into the draft. Oops. And there we go. So 10th overall, 10th pick. This would be a situation where I just talked about it. I would like to get Puka and Marvin Harrison Jr. I really want to get that stack. I really want to get that stack in Best Ball Mania, and I will at some point because, again, to me, that's the only exposure I'm going to get to Marvin Harrison Jr. It just kind of is. And maybe I could be completely wrong for that, but it is what it is. He's just going too high for a rookie for me. So I'm only going to be getting him if it's in the stack with Puka. And then that's going to be my game stack. I probably won't bring in other, pieces of that game unless I can get Trey McBride to fall. Then I could go Trey McBride, Kyler Murray, and have that Rams card stack for week 17. But we'll see. We'll see how it shakes out. So 10th overall, we'll see. I'm right in the wheelhouse. I will take Puka regardless if he's there. I think I need more exposure. Yeah, I have AJ Brown, 14%. Jahmyr Gibbs, 10%. Garrett Wilson, 8%. Breece Hall, 8%. Puka Nacua, 10%. So I don't know. Again, I'm just going to continue to try to get that stack. So if it works, it works. If it doesn't, I end up with Puka Nacua, not the end of the world. And again, I could still game stack with Trey McBride on the way back. But we'll kind of see how that shakes out. Pat can't watch live. Appreciate you coming in. Hit that like button, and hopefully you catch it later. 1.5 times, 1.25 is usually what I watch, on the rewind stuff. So I appreciate that. Just wrapped up your own show, so thanks for coming out. Appreciate that. Looks like if Breece Hall falls, I'll have to take Breece Hall. I only have 8% or whatever it was, 8% Breece Hall. So I will take a falling Breece Hall. I don't know. People seem to be really concerned about this injury at minicamp. Like, I really do not think you should be. And Puka went at 7, so that's fine. I'm gonna scoop the value at Breece Hall. That just doesn't make sense to not really. I don't think you should be concerned about a mini camp. It's not even training camp yet. It's like the mini camp's like 3 days or something like that, 2-3 days. It's really not a big deal if he's not practicing. Like, you tweak anything, you can. They even they were talking about Dave Canales was talking about Xavier Legette, rookie. Who you would want to be in minicamp, right? You would want to get those reps. And even Legette, they're like, nah, sit it out, take it easy, tweak the little hammy. If it was a game day, he even said, this was game week and we're getting prepared to, play a game this weekend. He's in there all day. He's playing. He's in there. He's practicing, whatever. We're going to figure it out. But right now, it really doesn't matter. So if we keep seeing, Breece Hall fall for no reason, in my opinion, I'm going to keep scooping that value every single day and twice on Sundays. What am I looking at for Jonathan Taylor? 6%. Do I really want to start RB? Not particularly. How else do I want to attack this? I could get a little more exposure to Nico, a little more Brandon Ayuk even. Let's go Ayuk. Bring in a little more San Francisco stack. And then that kind of sets me up for Sam Laporta, who I have too much exposure to, in all honesty. But all that exposure is with either, CMC or Debo or both, and not a ton with Ayuk. And I fully expect Brandon Ayuk to be a San Francisco 49er this year. It just, when their Super Bowl window is wide open. There's not even a screen on that window. It is wide open, right? So there's no way that the 49ers are going to, trade Ayuk or I don't know. They're certainly not going to cut him, but there's no reason to trade Brandon Ayuk. Really, like, they hold the cards. He's going to have to play. He's not going to risk that money to not show up to training camp and just continue to get fined. It's just not going to happen. So I fully expect Brandon Ayuk to be on the field and to be a San Francisco 49er this year, whether they get a contract done or not. Even if he's playing on that fifth-year option, he's still, look at Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson just played on a fifth-year option. If Brandon Ayuk thinks he's Justin Jefferson, then he's going to be waiting a long fucking time for that contract. I'll tell you that much. So, I could see him playing on the fifth-year contract. Even Jamar Chase hasn't gotten a contract yet. And the Bengals, for better or for worse, it is what it is. They're my team. I get it. They always do business like this, and it pisses me off. But, whatever. That's how they do business. They haven't given Jamar Chase a new contract yet. So, all of this swirling rumors. And here's another question that I have just for the chat. Why are the 49ers different than everyone else in the NFL? Like when Debo was going through his thing, Trey Lance, all these types of these storylines keep coming out. Like, it's California, I guess it's a big market. Maybe that's the thing. But for some reason, there's always turmoil. There's always a storyline going on in San Francisco. Why? I really don't understand. Debo, there's all this controversy, and Ayuk, there's controversy. You know what I mean? There's all these things that pop up with Trey Lance, Purdy, Jimmy Garoppolo. There's always something going on with San Francisco. And why are we treating them different than any other team? Look at the Bengals again, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. There is some controversy there, and there is some conversation, but not as much as what's going on in San Francisco, and it's consistently and constantly happening in San Francisco. Just my 2 cents. It seems a little odd to me. If you have a take, fire it in the chat. I just don't understand why there's always turmoil. There's always a conversation going on in San Francisco about XYZ player. But either way, again, I fully expect Brandon Ayuk to be a San Francisco 49er this year. And to be honest, I expect them to get a contract done. They have some cap space. They have some room. Yes, they have to sign. They have to do a contract with Brock Purdy, and it's going to be pretty hefty. But it's not going to be a Patrick Mahomes deal. Like, it's going to be right there with what Tua is probably going to garner, right? So it'll be a hefty contract. Don't get me wrong, but Debo will probably come off the books at some point. They're going to they're going to have to let Debo walk at some point, in my opinion, just because the numbers aren't going to work anymore. It's just not going to add up once they have to do the Purdy contract. Unless they want to make the decision between Ayuk and Debo, which you're open to make that decision. But I think if you're gonna, to be honest, I love Debo, but the correct decision there is Brandon Ayuk, in my opinion. So we'll see. We'll see how it all shakes out. It's just it's an interesting conversation, and it's weird that for some reason there's always, turmoil, is always something going on in San Francisco. Always. And it's always a big storyline. And they're always getting traded. Debo's getting traded. Ayuk's getting traded. Jimmy Garoppolo's getting traded. Trey Lance is getting traded. So I don't know. Mind you, Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance did get traded. So there you go. But Laporta goes, that kind of stinks, but it is what it is. Could take a little, no, there's not even any ADP value here. Probably just going to go ahead and get a Baltimore stack on my hands. I don't mind that. I don't really want to force a Pittman just because I really don't have much exposure at all to Pittman. Could go with some KC action here, but I really just don't love Travis Kelce at all at this ADP. He's got to fall for me. He's got to fall for me to take Travis Kelce a little bit. Just the way I see the tight end rankings kind of shaking out, I need Travis Kelce to fall behind Trey McBride and potentially Dalton Kincaid, who's catching up to Mark Andrews. I think, for me, it's Laporta, McBride, and Kincaid as my top three tight ends. And then it's Mark Andrews and probably Kelce 5, to be honest with you. That might be a hot take. I don't know. That might be some spiciness. I just don't think that I think they want to do this exact same thing that they did last year with Travis Kelce. Make sure he's healthy for another playoff run. All they care about is a three-peat. That is the only thing that the Kansas City Chiefs care about at this juncture, is three-peating so Travis Kelce can ride off into the sunset. Maybe he plays another year. Maybe he doesn't. I don't think he does personally. If Josh Allen is there, I might just have to scoop a little bit of value there and stack up. Mind you, everybody's going to have that stack. Okay, make it easy on me. Appreciate that. And that might not matter that everyone's going to have that stack, but either way, I need to get a little more exposure to Lamar regardless. What am I at for Lamar? 4%. Yeah, so I'm happy to scoop that. Putt Daddy, what's up, brother? I didn't think they'll have enough room. Bosa, Purdy, Debo, Ayuk, Trent Williams, CMC, will not precise one that are moved this year. I don't think they need to this year. They have the room. They have cap space right now. We can pull it up. Let me take a quick peek and I'll share it with you guys. The 49ers have cap space right now. And yes, that will go away. And yes, they have to pay Brock Purdy. I get all that. But they have $32 million. They have $32.7 million in cap space right now. Right? They can absolutely get a deal done with Brandon Ayuk. And Debo comes off the books after next season. Realistically, after this season, they can cut him and save some bucks. And while we're looking at it, let's look at Debo's contract just so we can really dig into this a little bit. I have some time between the picks. Why is over the cap not popping up to the top? That's annoying. Over the cap. Did I say over the top like the arm wrestling movie back in the day? Where's Debo? Debo Samuel. Okay. 2024. He's got void years. Cut post June 1. So dead money, 6.6 next year. They cut him after this season. Dead money 6.6. They save 17 million. So either in a trade or if they cut anyone, like I just said earlier, it's going to be Debo. The correct decision is to sign Ayuk. A, he's younger. B, he's a more pure wide receiver. And he's a very good one. He's a very quality wide receiver. And he's supposedly, allegedly, you hope he's only going to get better, right? So for me, if I'm the San Francisco 49ers, if I'm John Lynch, I sign Ayuk long-term. look at trading, or if you have to, you shouldn't have to. You should absolutely be able to get some value from Debo in a trade just because you kind of have to. Plus, they just drafted Ricky Pearsall in the first round, another wide receiver who's not like Debo. He's very much like Brandon Ayuk in a lot of ways, actually. And then that's your 1-2 punch at wide receiver. So, and Trent Williams is getting up there as well. He's going to come off at some point. CMC at some point, but they have the cap space. Plus, the cap is going to go up 20 million, 30 million, maybe 20 to 30 million, something like that next year. It just went up 20 something, 25 or something like that. It's going to keep going up. The NFL is a money-making machine. It's just going to keep going up, keep going up. So I think they're going to have the space to do an Ayuk deal at a reasonable amount. Like everyone's talked about it. It's not me breaking news here, but the Jalen Waddle contract is pretty much right there, right in line with where they need to be, in my opinion. So we'll see how that shakes out. But we need to make a pick here. And to be honest, no, I'm not going Joe Mixon. Just can't do it. It's gonna be probably Calvin Ridley here, even though, do I want to just go James Cook? I need some more exposure. Let's go Xavier Worthy and then see what comes back to us in a couple picks here, because I can go a few different ways. Go a few different directions with this. Worthy might have taken. I probably would have taken Cook if he fell back to me there. I'm definitely not very correlated. This is probably my least correlated team I've drafted in some time. Could go George Kittle here and lean into the San Francisco side of this Detroit game. Or I might bring in Jordan Addison here. I don't have enough exposure, and I like the teams that he correlates with in the fantasy playoffs. I have zero correlation going on right now. We will correct that. Don't panic. But and typically I have more. Forgot about Kittle too. Didn't realize they had that much cap space. Yeah, they got to pay Kittle, but again, he's getting a little bit older as well, and he doesn't command like a Travis Kelce type contract. Probably still a top 3 tight end contract. Don't get me wrong, but they have a ton of space. Again, that 32, whatever I said, $32.7 million in cap space right this second. And again, it will go up. It will 100%. The cap will go up, and the teams that it benefits will not be the teams in cap hell like the New Orleans Saints are habitually in cap hell. It'll benefit teams like this, teams like the 49ers that need to make some moves, that need to have some wiggle room. And this is going to allow that wiggle room and creativeness. And John Lynch does a great job being creative with it, not only the cap, but building out his roster. Especially on the defensive side of the ball, really. He does a great job of cycling in pass rushers, especially, which is, a fantastic way to kind of attack your free agency. There's always, Yannick Ngakoue is still a free agent right now. Right now, Yannick Ngakoue is out there, and he's a double-digit sack guy almost every year, except for last year he was hurt with Chicago. But before that, he's a very, very, very quality pass rusher. For some reason, they're always on the cheap. Leonard Floyd, who I think they signed, if I'm recall off the top of my head, I think the 49ers signed Leonard Floyd. He's always out on the market, right? There's always pass rushers. If if they can fit your scheme, they can fit your system, you can always go out there and get those guys that can be difference makers on your team. And the 49ers have done a great job at doing that, supplementing Joey Bosa. By Joey Bosa, I mean Nick Bosa. So supplementing, Nick Bosa and giving him some ammunition, so, running mate, And then they've always had those interior guys like Eric Armstead, Javon Hargrave comes in, things like that. They've just done a great job at replenishing that defensive line and their offensive line for that matter. And to me, I've always said this, that's how I would build an NFL franchise. I'm starting at the lines and I'm working my way back outside of quarterback. Quarterback's a completely different conversation altogether. But the rest of the NFL roster, I'm starting on the offense and defensive line and then work my way back from there. Wide receiver too. That's very, 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 very high up there on the list of, wants and needs. But you can get that these days in the draft. You can get a first-round wide receiver that's a difference maker from day one. It's not like it used to be where you have to, coach a guy up, train him up, get him involved with the system, blah, blah, blah. Then the year three jump for wide receivers. That's no longer the case. It's either rookie year, second year maybe. If you're not breaking out by your second season, you're almost an afterthought, forgotten about. No one cares about you anymore, especially in the fantasy space, right? So a little bit of long-winded nonsense about the 49ers, but hopefully we all got something out of that. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that one shakes out. It's a good conversation. It's a good conversation about also screenshotted this one. Maybe I'll share it on my Twitter page. Go ahead and follow me on the Twitter machine handles right here. Maybe I'll tweet this out, but I can't remember who I stole it from, so I'll retweet it. I'm not going to just steal content here like some people do. Dove climbing. But I will probably retweet it and just put that out there for the projected highest scoring offenses and projected lowest points against for defenses. And that was built. I'll talk about how that was built in a second here after I make these picks here. So what am I doing? Probably going to go with Evan Ingram here. Don't have there you go. That makes sense for him to go. Could just go Dak and Ferguson, but I do a lot of that and I don't have any correlation there. So it doesn't particularly make sense. I think I got to go Jameson Williams. I got to start getting some correlation here. So I can go J Will and then probably a running back. And by probably, I mean definitely. And in this build that I'm doing right now, it makes more sense to go with Jaylen Warren. Why? He's the pass catching back. So if I'm correlating with a team like Kansas City and Baltimore and Philly for that matter, I don't have any Eagles, but that's who he plays in week 15. I got to go after, the pass catching back in this offense. And, that's obviously Jaylen Warren, 61 catches last year versus Najee's 29. So clearly Jaylen Warren's the pass catching back here. You got to think that those games are more of shootouts. Plus I'm correlating with my stack of Lamar Jackson and Zay Flowers here. So I'm hoping and thinking that that's going to be a bit of a shootout. So I kind of have to go that route. Love some Zamir White. Sorry, he's getting steamed up right now in camp. But with what I'm doing, it just makes too much sense to not take Jaylen Warren here. So that's the route I'm going to go. But how this was built, so how this kind of chart that I'll probably tweet out once we wrap up here tonight, how this chart was built is all of the NFL games have been put out there to bet on already. So over unders, that sort of a thing. So this group, whoever, this data set came from that. And basically it said, okay, the 49ers are supposed to score X amount of points. There you go. This amount of points per game. And they kind of figured it out that way, right? So the 49ers are way up there. The Detroit Lions are all way up there. So why would we not be stacking that week 17 game as much as we possibly can? That's what I've been doing. I did it literally here in this episode, Jay Will and Brad Ayuk. So maybe I'll tweet that out there. And if you missed it or don't have it or didn't see it, maybe I'll fire that out there for the Twitter machine. Go ahead and give me a follow at _the Schneid on the Twitter machine. And I'll fire that out after this draft is done here, so everybody can take advantage of that. But yeah, That was a half a draft worth of chatting about the 49ers there for the most part. So um, definitely falling behind at running back here. It doesn't look like anyone's getting out of line, really. Double tight end, bully tight end, Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce's the Mark Andrews, the bring back in the Houston stack. I like this build. Makes lots of sense. Like what you're doing. Double KC. Gonna obviously have to bring in a Steeler, and it's not going to be Pat Fryermuth. So he's definitely looking at Roman Wilson. That is no questions asked. Not sure why. I guess he probably would have taken Jaylen Warren if I didn't. That would have made sense. But Najee just doesn't. Again, exactly what I said about my own, build. Najee doesn't make a ton of sense for him to take when he's a bring back, on a double KC. And there goes Najee. But what else do we got? Patrick Mahomes. You see so much naked Patrick Mahomes. So much. So what I'm doing a lot is when I can make it happen with the Kansas City Chiefs, is I'll take Patrick Mahomes with, where is he? With George Pickens. So typically George Pickens went early in this draft, 36. Typically he's going, around here-ish, right? 43 to 48, something like that. So I'll take George Pickens there, and then I'll bring it back with Patrick Mahomes. And then later on in the draft, I'll make sure I get Rashee Rice. So that's kind of the way I'm doing it. And then most times I'll probably bring in Clyde Edwards-Helaire late in the draft. If it makes sense, which it typically does in sort of these zero RB, hero RB builds that I'm doing an exceptional amount of personally. Not that I'm completely doing it on purpose, but I kind of am. And mostly it's hero RB with the Breece Hall, Bijan, CMC, those three pretty much exclusively, where I'm still probably going 6 running backs. It's just fragile beyond, again, so it's a proper hero RB, right? Hero RB build. So that's what I'm doing with the KC Pittsburgh stack. You really have to force it. You really do. You really have to try to put it together and try to make it happen very, purposefully. Khalil Shakir makes a lot of sense here. Exits practice early, not really a concern. Again, I'm not concerned right now with these little nicks that are popping up with guys. It's really nothing to be too concerned about, I don't think. Did Brock Purdy already go? No, there he is. So I probably will take Brock Purdy after I grab Khalil Shakir for some more correlation. Like to see more green than I have at this second, but it's getting there. So I'll go with Brock Purdy. I'm going to slow down at wide receiver for sure for a couple reasons. I'll be done at quarterback, obviously. So I've got that San Francisco Detroit stack that I just talked about. That's should be super highly regarded and high up on your priority list for stacking week 17. And try to get unique like I've just done here with taking Brandon Ayuk and then Jameson Williams. You could do it with, Gibbs and Laporta, Gibbs and Jameson Williams, with Ricky Pearsall, George Kittle, right? Different combinations, Debo, Ayuk. Obviously, there's tons of options there. And try to get different with it. I'm trying to have as many different combinations as I can of that game. Because it's not going to be as cut and dry as CeeDee Lamb and Amon-Ra St. Brown like it was last year with, the Dak stack in there. Everybody had it in the finals. You literally had to have it in the finals to compete and have a shot at big money, right? So I don't think it's going to be that cut and dry. And that game, that San Francisco-Detroit game, could very well be the game that you need. It's just what's the combination that you need. I personally think that Sam Laporta is going to be part of that. That's why I have a lot of exposure to him. I think Debo is going to be a part of that as long as he's healthy. So I have a lot of exposure to Debo as well. So one last sip of a kind of gross, kind of spiced iced tea or spiked iced tea, whatever you want to call it. It's not very good, but there you go. What else do we got going on? Hit that like button while you're here, if you don't mind. Helps me out. Probably going to go live again on Thursday, most likely. I'm going to probably play golf tomorrow, working on that handicap, trying to get down to single digits this year is the goal. Pretty unlikely. The U.S. Opens this weekend. That'll be good. That'll be fun. I'll be doing my my DFS golf lineups after we're done here tonight. I always do the mini max, 150 entries in the mini max. Should be a 10K payout for the mini max this week because it's a major, so that'll be all right. I'll put that together, but probably golf tomorrow, and then play and then do another stream on Thursday. Bad back, that hurts, man. Putt Daddy, that sucks. With your name too, you probably dig golf. I appreciate that. That really sucks. I hope that never happens to me. I'd be pretty butthurt about that. It's I love golf. I love it. I really couldn't like enjoy a lot of things without golf. My good buddies, my close buddies are big golfers as well. So it's good to get out when, they have kids. I don't have any kids yet, but they have kids. So it's easy to get out that way, get some fresh air, go for a walk, whack a ball around. You could still be competitive too. I grew up playing sports, but my sporting days are over, but you can still, get competitive with yourself with golf. So that's one thing I absolutely truly appreciate about it. But either way, that's neither here nor there. Obviously really hoping that Dalton Schultz is there for me. That's by far head and shoulders, far and away the guy that I want. This guy could definitely take Cooks, which he did. And Dalton Schultz is my Baltimore bring back. That's awesome. That's exactly the way I wanted. That's how we drew it up, So there you go. There's my one tight end. I could still potentially get away with two tight ends here. We'll see. But I might be able to get away with it, depending on who it is. And then I can get correlation with like Cole Kmet or Luke Musgrave, something like that. We'll see. But I'm definitely going to go running back with this next pick. And it'll probably be Zach Charbonnet. Maybe Rico Dowdle I'm trying to get. And I have 0 Rico Dowdle in Best Ball Mania. If that's true, then I kind of want to click him here. That is true. I have zero shares of Rico Dowdle in Best Ball Mania. I just think that I'm not picking Zeke. Look at my exposure to Zeke, and I'm not worried about it. Especially late in the season, I don't expect Zeke to be kind of the guy, that you need. But for my correlation, it just makes way more sense to get Zach Charbonnet as kind of the only Seattle piece that I'm going to get at this point in the draft. I'm not taking Noah Fant. So that's really it. I'll have to bookmark Rico Dowdle and get some exposure to him in some other builds and some other drafts. I still have, 199 after this one, Best Ball Mania drafts to get some exposure there. Oh my goodness, I should have been paying more attention. Maybe he falls. Obviously, Ricky Pearsall's the guy I should have taken right there. I was not paying enough attention. That's a real kick in the nuts, but that's on me. Should have been Ricky Pearsall. You never know. Maybe he'll fall to me. Highly, exceptionally highly, completely doubt it. It's not going to happen, but that's all right. That's all right. Single stack Brandon Ayuk with Brock Purdy. Maybe throws 3 touchdowns to Brock Purdy, or sorry, to Brandon Ayuk. That's what I'm hoping for with that little misclick by yours truly. Happens to the best of us. But really, my main stack is honestly Lamar and Houston, Baltimore is kind of the main stack on this build. Mind you, I like to build with 2 double stacks with a single bring back, or sometimes just sell out on a game like I did on a few streams ago with the Jets and the Buffalo Bills, where I think it was every pass catcher and James Cook. I think I had like a quadruple stack Buffalo Bills with a double Jets bring back. And I like that. I like doing that. And that's a good game to sell out on. If you can sell out completely on Detroit, San Francisco, by all means. I've done that a few times as well. So again, that's just I've said it every time I do streams on Best Ball Mania, is I'm selling out for week 17. I really am. If I get one team into the Best Ball Mania finals, I'm happy about that, because I'm going to have a game that if it goes off, I win it all. And that's what you have to do, in my opinion, to win it. You have to have that stack that everybody needs. You got it. You got to have it. 539 teams in the final, right? Last year, Amon-Ra, CeeDee Lamb with Dak Prescott. You had to have that. More or less, you had to have that game stack. So that's what I'm kind of banking on. Hopefully Ricky Pearsall falls another 6 picks for no good reason. I exceptionally highly doubt that'll happen. Typically never happens with wide receivers, but we can dream. Certainly not going running back. Might be a 3 tight end, a rare 3 tight end build for me. I really barely ever do 3 tight ends. But it may happen. Man, it is not outside the realm of possibility that Ricky Pearsall falls to me. I'm not sure I love this 3 quarterback build here. And there goes Pearsall, just naked for nothing. Yeah, whatever. It is what it is. That's how she goes. That was a misclick mistake by me. Makes tons of sense to bring in Luke Musgrave. Rashad Bateman is definitely the click, unless I get sniped right here, which is always possible. And he doesn't. So Rashad Bateman, that brings in my double stack Baltimore Ravens with the bring back. Dalton Schultz, I like it. Kind of screwed myself by not taking Ricky Pearsall, but that's okay. Can't win them all. Hunter Henry, I don't have very much of. And, there's a few people that I respect their opinions that are big on Hunter Henry, which I can certainly be inclined to believe in. And that'll probably be my click. And then I've got 2 tight ends that are almost clones of each other, Schultz and Henry. A little bit of correlation with Buffalo there. Can't ask for too much more with my tight end 2, unless I wanted to bring in like Isaiah Likely or something, but I'd only do that with a 3 tight end build, which I could probably get away with. I think my wide receivers are just a little too fragile to stop at 7. I think I need an 8th in there. Don't like my RB room enough to go with only 5 running backs. So I think I got to go with Hunter Henry here. And then kind of just hope that that's good enough to get me by. Fantasy Football Garage. What's up, man? What's happening to Candy, man? How you doing? Hope you're having a good night. You streaming later tonight? If anyone in the chat, if you don't follow the Fantasy Football Garage, give them a follow. Hit them up on YouTube. Definitely a very laid back, chill, good vibes, good music, and good experience to draft with the Fantasy Football Garage. So pop over there. Where are we at? Maybe I'll do another draft. If there's enough interest in the chat, I'll rip another quick BBM because this one seemed to have gone fast with all the San Francisco 49ers chat. So smash the like button for me. And maybe we'll do another one. 5 likes is what I'm seeing. Let's get it to 6 likes now. Let's get it to 8. 2 more likes. If you're watching and you haven't liked, if you're on Twitter, just started streaming on Twitter, by the way. Just kind of put that together in my pea brain, how to make that happen. Pretty easy, but not a rocket scientist over here. But if you're signed in or watching on Twitter, sign into YouTube, hit that like button, help me out. Let's get another draft going if you want. Like I said, we'll get to 8. We get to 8 likes, and I'll do another BBM draft. I think we're at 6 right now. Not asking for much, but let's see if we can make that happen. Yeah, so I gotta fill up my running back room. 3. This is not a 5. This is not a 5 running back build, in my opinion. I'm gonna have to get to 6, and then add another wide receiver. I could bring in like a Juwan Jennings situation. I don't particularly love that, but I just think there's too much competition for Juwan Jennings, but it might make sense with what I'm doing right now. So we will see, but it's definitely only going to be running back and wide receiver left for me to draft. Javon Baker, I have too much of. He's one of my highest drafted players in the big board as well. So I've got tons of exposure to Javon Baker. I love me some Braylon Allen. I'm definitely pumping up my exposure numbers to Braylon Allen right now that he's like almost completely defined as the running back 2 with the Jets. Should have a little bit of standalone value. And then if there's an injury to Breeze, obviously he it's wheels up for Braylon Allen. Honestly, I don't like bringing in Elijah Mitchell with this build. I'm looking for another San Francisco pass catcher. And even if there's an injury to Christian McCaffrey, I don't see Elijah Mitchell as being a massive benefactor through the air if that injury should occur. I think Deebo Samuel, kind of takes off and, everyone else benefits. I don't particularly see Elijah Mitchell being a massive benefactor there. Man, how do you not take Chuba Hubbard? Look at my exposure. It's insane. 31%, 26% total. How do you not click him? Like, how do you not click him here? What do you want from me? He's my running back 4. I'm just going to keep clicking Chuba Hubbard if I have to in the back end of the 15th, early 16th round. I'm just going to keep clicking him here. Just makes it too easy. Yeah, they are starting to get stale. I agree with Braylon Allen kind of moving up, and he's going to move up quite a bit further. That's why I really want to stack my exposure as much as possible right now to make sure, again, I just get as much exposure at this ADP as humanly possible. I'm going to go ahead and take little Luke McCaffrey. I like the bet on that offense. I'm drafting a ton of Commanders. So let's do Luke McCaffrey. Then I'm only looking at 2 running backs. We'll see how we go. Might be another Eric Gray draft. We'll see. Putt Daddy's taking Hubbard too. How do you not, man? End of the 15th round, 16th round. Like, we're talking about Braylon Allen a second ago, right? He's going to move up ahead of Chuba Hubbard for sure. Like, for sure, Braylon Allen's going to move ahead of Chuba Hubbard. So again, I definitely want to get as much exposure as I possibly can to Braylon Allen, not in this build that I have right now. Otherwise, I certainly would have clicked him. But Chuba Hubbard continues to fall. Man, how do we not like Chuba Hubbard at his price? It's not like you're drafting him, in the, let's look at a range. Let's look at a range here. If he was going in the Charbonnet, Nick Chubb, Dowdle, Marshawn Lloyd, even Jalen Wright range, sure, that's too pricey. I get it. You don't want to click him. He's going to fall, whatever. But if you're getting him in the back end of the 15th, early 16th round, especially with how many drafters, including myself, are doing zero RB, hero RB, that sort of a thing, those sorts of constructions, how is Chuba Hubbard, like, how do you not have 30% Chuba Hubbard? I do. So I don't understand how everybody doesn't. It's kind of wild that he's there. I mean, I've been saying it. I've said it multiple times on this stream and on this channel. We really truly still don't know what Jonathan Brooks is. Yes, he had a good quality season, a very good season before he tore his ACL, I might add. It's the way nowhere near as big of a deal as it used to be, but he tore his ACL after having a one quality good season at Texas. Yes, he looked very good, but we don't know what he is 100%. And with where he's going, we're just saying, see if I can get Tank Bigsby here. We're just saying that, where's he going? Right here, 90. We're saying that he's better than Zach Moss, better than Aaron Jones, or at least, on the same plane as those guys, better than Najee, Tony Pollard, Trey Benson. You can make that case for Trey Benson, sure. But Brian Robinson Jr., I personally, I'm a big Brian Robinson Jr. fan. Even Gus Edwards, it's hard to argue that he's going to have double-digit touchdowns this year. So we're just saying that he's going to be this, right? Without caring about the consequences that are right there in front of you. I'm not saying don't draft Jonathan Brooks. I'm just saying I think people should be looking at Chuba Hubbard a little more closely. This is going to be an Eric Gray team. I really don't want to. I'm going to go Dylan Lowby because I like the coach speak that's come out, and him against Alexander Madison. Give me Dylan Lowby, especially as, the pass catching back, even potentially over Zamir White in certain circumstances, 2-minute drill, that sort of a thing. I really don't want to take Eric Gray. I just have way too much exposure. I have to bring that down. I have to. I just cannot keep drafting Eric Gray. I can't. I have enough exposure. I have enough, uniqueness with him and whatever. But let's check the likes again. If you haven't hit that like button, please do. If we get to 8, I'll rip another draft. Right now we're at 6. Nothing crazy. Just trying to, make it attainable so we can do another draft. Still at 6 from what I'm seeing. If anyone's seeing more than that, let me know. But I'm only seeing 6. So hit that like button, or we might have to call it a night so I can do my golf stuff. Who am I picking with this last pick regardless? In this build, it would be Isaac Garendo over Elijah Mitchell, but I have way too much Isaac Garendo, and that's a full stop, not drafting him again until either an injury or some positive news comes out. Could be a Trey Sermon, Evan Hull kind of a draft. And I might have to go that route. I need a little more Trey Sermon, who's kind of steaming it up right now as the RB2, even though I don't particularly agree with that, and my exposure will tell that story, right? I don't love this team, actually. This is probably one of my least favorite teams I've drafted in this entire contest, probably. I missed that click on Ricky Pearsall, which is completely on me. He was fully available for me to take. He even almost fell back to me right here. Almost fell back to me, but then maybe I don't get Rashad Bateman. I don't know. But to be honest, I should have reached. Well, it wouldn't have been a reach. I should have just taken him basically at ADP right here. So that kind of stinks, but it is what it is. We got 9 people watching. I need 2 more likes. I want to do another draft. Let's get 2 more likes, people. Help me out here. Hunter Henry, I don't have enough exposure to at all. So I like him in this build, I guess, with a 2 tight end build. This is just a super fragile running back room. Mind you, Jalen Warren, Zach Charbonnet, Chuba, that should hopefully be enough to kind of get me through most weeks. Yeah, until Dylan Laube does, short king things, Dylan Laube things. He does look good, and he's getting a lot of hype. Not hype, but he's getting some good coach speak. Basically saying they're throwing the book at him, and he's passing with flying colors. So I wouldn't mind getting a few more here and there, kind of shares of Dylan Laube. Ideally, it would be in bring back scenarios, so where I've got Saints, probably Chris Olave, and maybe a Derek Carr Saints stack. And then Trey Sermon, that's kind of just a dart throw. But who else are you going to get in the? I would have taken Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but he went. But who else are you going to get? At that point in the draft, really. So, yeah. But it is what it is. C'est la vie. That's how she goes. Maybe we'll do a quick Poodle pick. Slow. I got a slow Poodle pick going on right now. My first pick. It's going to have to be Bijan. Yeah, just makes too much sense in the 7 hole right now. So let's go Bijan there. Fantasy Football Garage. Haven't taken enough Olave Carr recently to go Olave late. Me neither. One thing I did, I think it was last stream, or on Sunday. I think we ripped a couple Poodles. One thing I did was at the back end of round 1, and I'm probably going to do this at least once in Best Ball Mania. At least once I want to get this start where it's easy to do. There's no, if, then, or buts. You can absolutely make it happen. That's no problem whatsoever. But when I'm in the 12 hole, the 1-2 turn 12-13, I'm going to go. And like I said, I just did this on the stream on Sunday there. I went Chris Olave and Devontae Adams, at 12 and 13. Yeah, it's a bit of a reach. I get it. It's nothing crazy. 4 picks and 6 picks in the first round just to get a unique kind of start in a week 17 correlation. And then that's the type of team that maybe, let's say you bring in, let's bring in Kamara, right? You bring in Alvin Kamara to pair with Olave, and then Devontae Adams. Maybe you bring in Carr and Juwan Johnson, and then Dylan Laube, where you fully stack, and it's super cheap to do it, and you fully stack that Saints Vegas week 17 in New Orleans, right? That could be something that could get you over the finish line, maybe, right? I mean, it's not high on the priority list of game stacks and team stacks that I'm looking to fill out, but it's one that could be unique if you can get it to the final. So that's kind of, you got to get lucky, obviously, but that's something I did. And yeah, maybe Bowers. That's a good point. Putt Daddy, maybe bring in Bowers as a bring back, instead of Laube, or go Chris Olave, Kamara, Bowers, Laube, something like that, right? It's just, you got to get a little bit unique with some of these builds sometimes. And just hope that, if you get there, you have a unique build for week 17, and then that game just goes off and no one expected it to happen that way, like when Pat Kerrane won a few years ago, that was Tampa Bay, Carolina, that no one expected realistically to blow up like that. And that's the game that won him, $2 million or whatever it was at the time. Getting different wide receiver combos through 1T can be a nice leverage play. 100%. You gotta try some different things, especially in these, you could call it a higher entry. It is relatively high. $25 is a good chunk of change, especially if you're drafting at volume, then that's for damn sure, right? If you're max entering BBM, that's a very large, it's a good chunk of change, right? And that can make people adverse to taking shots like that, especially if it's someone that's only doing maybe 20, 25. Nothing wrong with that. I think I only did 75 BBMs last year. So do is whatever you can afford, whatever you want, blah, blah, blah. But if you're drafting at volume like I am, then you got to take some different combinations like that. You really have to. There's honestly like no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no real choice behind it. You kind of just have to do it to try to get unique, to try to have that one stack that no one else has. Again, Pat Kerrane, a couple years ago, Tampa Bay, Carolina. Not a lot of people. I certainly didn't have a lot of that stack. So there you go. That's something that you got to do a little bit of. 6 likes still. Kind of breaking my heart, guys. I wanted to do another stream, but I gotta be a man of my word here. And if we're not going to get there, we're not going to get there. Sad day. It is what it is. But I appreciate you guys coming out. As always, we're gonna be streaming again on Thursday. Again, I'm gonna go golf tomorrow. Got to work on that. Got to work on that handicap. And we'll be streaming again on Thursday. Then maybe on the weekend, I might have a busy weekend. We'll see. But hit that notification bell there so you know when I go live and you can jump in these drafts, jump in the chat. Fantasy Football Garage, appreciate you coming out. Putt Daddy, as always, you're the man. Appreciate you coming out. Pat from the Pound, appreciate you. We'll see you guys next time again on Thursday. We'll be back. We'll be drafting. We'll be streaming. Like we always say on Off the Schneid, you know it. If you're afraid to be wrong, tell us your real score on Thursday. No problem. We'll do 100%. I shot 86 yesterday. Yeah, I shot 86 yesterday, and it was absolutely pitiful. I was very upset with that round. I had 37 putts on an 86 score. It was atrocious. So I got to be better on the dance floor. But I will tell you my score. Like we always say on Off the Schneid, if you're afraid to be wrong, you'll never be right. Hopefully tonight we were right and we win $1.5 million BBM 5 champ incoming. Here we go. We'll see you on Thursday. Appreciate you guys.